Dark Elf's Chosen, Season 2, Episode 2, by Celeste King.
Last time on Dark Elf's Chosen. Ready to continue our grand adventure?
Julius, is everything all right?
I'm fine, Savannah. Really. Just didn't sleep well last night.
What if Julius had seen my magic spiral out of control? How much longer can I hide this?
Who are you?
I am Radson.
Julius!
If you would like the unabridged version of this audiobook, or you just can't wait for the next episode to release, you can find it on worldsofprothika.com.
Use code YouTube30 for a 30% discount on any digital product on the site, and buy Seasons 1 and 2 as a bundle for an incredible discount.
Like and subscribe for updates on daily releases, and comment down below what you think of this episode.
This is Celeste King's Season 2 of Dark Elf's Chosen. Chapter 8. Savannah. Julius! I rush to his side, heart pounding in my chest. Razdan looks up, his expression grim. He's lost consciousness. I have to do something fast. My hands tremble as I touch Julius's cheek, feeling the coldness of his skin. What happened? Razdan lifts Julius with ease, cradling him in his massive arms. His magic is almost gone. He can't sustain himself much longer. I follow him to a nearby patch of grass, sheltered by trees. Razdan lays his limp body on the ground carefully. Suddenly, Razdan's hands glow a vivid green as he chants softly. The air permeates an herbal scent that soothes my frayed nerves. Julius lies there, his chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. I cling to his hand, my grip tightening as Razdan's magic works through him. Minutes feel like hours. Finally, Razdan stops and wipes his brow. He should be stable now, he says, voice deep and calm. But he needs rest. Thank you, I whisper, not trusting my voice to hold steady. Razdan nods and scoops Julius up effortlessly. There's an inn nearby. He'll be more comfortable there. I follow Razdan out of the woods, the cool evening air wrapping around us. The inn isn't far, just a short walk through narrow cobblestone streets. Inside the inn, it's warm and inviting. The innkeeper directs us to a room upstairs without asking too many questions. Razdan lays Julius on the bed and steps back, his expression softening as he watches over him. I'll go to the nearby town and get us some food, I say, breaking the silence. Razdan frowns, crossing his arms over his broad chest. I should go. You stay with him. No, I insist, shaking my head. You've done enough already. I'll be quick. He hesitates but finally nods. Be careful. I will, I promise. As I turn to leave, I glance back at Julius one last time. His face looks more peaceful now, but the dark circles under his eyes remain stark against his pale skin. I take a deep breath and head out into the night, determined to bring back whatever we need to help him recover. The streets are quiet as I make my way toward the marketplace we passed earlier. Lanterns cast a soft glow on the worn stones beneath my feet. I stop at a small stall selling fresh bread and fruits, exchanging a few coins for a simple meal. The vendor gives me a curious look, but doesn't ask any questions as I hurriedly gather what I need. The marketplace is still bustling. The noise and lights a stark contrast to the quiet street I just left. I hear commotion at one of the market stalls. My curiosity gets the best of me, and I go to investigate. I approach the merchant's stall laden with colourful jars and bundles of herbs. Excuse me, I say, catching his attention. Do you have anything for healing? Something strong? The merchant, a grizzled old man with a hawkish nose, eyes me warily. Depends on what you're looking for, he grunts. Something to help with. Exhaustion and illness, I explain, keeping my voice steady. He rummages through his wares, pulling out a small vial of green liquid. This here is rare and expensive, he says, holding it up. How much? I ask, already dreading the answer. 20 gold pieces, he replies, eyes gleaming with greed. I gape at him. That's outrageous. I don't have that kind of money. He shrugs, clearly unbothered by my predicament. Take it or leave it. Frustration bubbles up inside me. Julius needs this. I glance around the bustling market and think, I wish he'd just agree to drop the price. The merchant's eyes glaze over for a moment, and his expression goes slack. When he speaks again, his voice is flat. 10 gold pieces, he says mechanically. I blink in surprise. Did he just... Are you serious? I ask, studying his blank face. He nods slowly. 10 gold pieces. Without hesitation, I hand over the coins and snatch the vial from his hand. As soon as it's in my grasp, the merchant blinks and shakes his head, as if waking from a trance. What just happened? He mutters to himself, looking around in confusion. Clutching the vial tightly, I hurry away from the stall before he can change his mind or realise something strange occurred. My heart pounds in my chest as I make my way back to the inn, thoughts racing. My magic is acting up again, and it's getting harder to control. But right now, all that matters is getting back to Julius, with something that might help him. I need to get back before something else happens. The cool night air brushes against my skin as I hurry back to the inn, the vial clutched tightly in my hand. The streets are quieter now, the marketplace winding down for the night. Lanterns flicker, casting long shadows that dance across the cobblestones. My thoughts whirl as I replay the strange encounter with the merchant. What did I do? My magic is slipping out of control more often, and it's only a matter of time before Julius notices, if he hasn't already. I need to stay focused. Julius needs me. Just as I turn a corner, a sudden wave of dizziness hits me. The world around me blurs, and before I can react, there's a flash of light. My vision clears, and I find myself several feet away from where I stood moments ago, the marketplace now at my back. Not again, I mumble to myself. I glance around, heart pounding in my chest. Did anyone see that? The street is empty, save for a stray cat darting into an alley. I take a shaky breath and tighten my grip on the vial. This magic, it's becoming dangerous. I can't let this happen again. Not when Julius needs me to be strong. Gathering my wits, I resume my hurried pace toward the inn, trying to push aside the unease gnawing at my mind. Each step feels heavier as I approach our room, hoping that Razdin's magic, and this vial, will be enough to help Julius recover. I finally arrive back at the inn and Julius still lies on the bed, looking more at peace than before, but still too pale for comfort. Razdin sits in a chair nearby, his eyes closed in meditation or perhaps rest. I set the food down on a small table and sink into a chair, exhaustion washing over me. Razdin's eyes shoot open, as if surprised by my sudden return. I found this. Let's hope it works, I say quietly, tossing him the vial. He nods and takes it from me without a word. I sit in the chair, watching as Razdin administers the ailment to Julius. The memory of the merchant's glazed eyes and monotone voice haunts me. I did that. I didn't mean to, but I did. My magic, wild and uncontrollable, lurks just beneath the surface, threatening to burst forth at any moment. It's more than just teleportation now. I can manipulate minds, influence people. The thought sends a shiver down my spine. But how do I control it? My abilities are growing stronger, more unpredictable. Practicing in secret hasn't helped. If anything, it's made things worse. I need guidance, someone who understands magic, who can teach me to harness it without fear. Razdin's voice breaks through my thoughts. You seem troubled. I startle, realizing he's watching me with those intense green eyes of his. It's nothing, I lie, forcing a smile. Nothing, he repeats, skepticism clear in his tone. I sigh. I'm just concerned for Julius, that's all. Though that is the truth, that's not the only thing I'm concerned about.
Chapter 9. Julius. Julius, you must stay still, Rastin says, his deep voice rumbling like distant thunder. His green eyes lock onto mine, serious and unwavering. The scent of crushed herbs wafts from the pouch he carries. I lie on the bed, limbs trembling, skin mottled with those damned black veins. Savannah's concerned face flashes in my mind, and I grit my teeth. Do whatever you need, I manage to say. My voice sounds weak even to my own ears. Just don't let her see me like this. It's a little late for that, Rastin says. She hasn't left your side other than to get food and materials. He pulls out a bundle of dried leaves and starts to chant under his breath. The words are foreign, ancient sounding, and they reverberate through the air like a haunting melody. I force myself to breathe deeply. You're sure this will work? I've seen worse recover, Rastin replies without looking up from his task. But you must be patient. Patience isn't my strong suit, but right now I have no choice. I close my eyes and try to focus on the rhythm of Rastin's chanting rather than the burning pain in my core. Minutes pass, or is it hours? Time seems to stretch and blur as Rastin works. At one point I feel a cool sensation spread from where he touches my chest, like ice water flowing through my veins. You carry a heavy burden, Rastin murmurs as he applies another poultice to my arm. Your magic. I know, I say through gritted teeth. Just fix it. He doesn't respond but intensifies his chanting. The world narrows down to the Minotaur's voice and the strange relief spreading through me. Finally he stops and sits back on his haunches. His eyes meet mine again, softer this time. It will take time, he says, but this should help regain some strength. I push myself up on shaky elbows, feeling a faint glimmer of hope. Thank you. Rastin places a massive hand on my shoulder. You are not alone in this struggle. His words hit harder than I expect. For so long I've carried this burden in silence, hiding it from Savannah out of pride and fear. She can't know, I say quietly. Rastin frowns. If you feel that's best, but she is smarter than you think. As he helps me stand, I feel a renewed determination. I will fight this, if not for myself, then for Savannah. As if my thoughts have manifested her, she appears in the doorway, her arms full of supplies. Got them all. We're ready to go. She smiles at Rastin. Are you sure you can journey? He looks to me. I shove up off the bed, feeling sliding unsteady and masking it. Taking some of the supplies from Savannah and slinging bags over my shoulder, I nod. Lead the way. We trudge along the winding path, Rastin's steady presence a silent anchor beside me. Savannah walks ahead, her fiery hair a beacon in the dim light of dusk. I glance at Rastin, curious about the Minotaur who has unexpectedly become an ally. You've got away with magic, I say, breaking the silence. I thought Minotaurs didn't do magic. Rastin's eyes flicker with sorrow. It's not common in Milthar, but there are always exceptions. He huffs. But apostates don't have many options on the island. We train and study for the use of others when they can tolerate magic. His words hang heavy between us, and I can't help but push further. Why did you leave? He hesitates, his gaze hardening. I did not leave by choice. Banished, then. The realization hits me like a cold wind. I look at him, noting the scars crisscrossing his red fur, each one a story untold. What happened? I ask softly. Someone was unsavable. I used my magic to help them, he says, voice low. But they died anyway. Nothing could be done, but my powers were blamed. I nod, understanding more than he knows. We both bear burdens of power we didn't ask for. You miss it, I state rather than ask. Rastin's eyes darken with longing. Every day. Do you ever think about going back? He lets out a bitter laugh. It is not so simple, Julius. There is no way back. No, I agree. It never is. We walk in silence for a while, the only sound our footsteps crunching on gravel and the distant call of seabirds. Razdin's words linger in my mind, a reminder that even those who seem strong have their own struggles. You're stronger than you look, I finally say. Razdin glances at me, a hint of a smile tugging at his lips. And you're weaker than you let on. I snort at that, unable to argue. Miltar might not welcome you back, I say after a moment. But that doesn't mean you're alone. Razdin nods, his gaze softening. Thank you, Julius. As we continue down the path, the weight of our shared secrets feels lighter somehow. In this strange journey, we find strength in each other's company, even if our destinations remain uncertain. The night grows darker, but for once, it doesn't feel quite so overwhelming. Savannah trudges ahead, the lantern swinging at her side. Razdin and I walk in silence for a while, our footsteps and the distant call of Minas filling the void of conversation. His earlier words linger in my mind, a reminder that even those who seem strong have their own struggles. As the path narrows, Razdin's heavy steps slow. He casts a sidelong glance at me, his eyes probing. Julius, Razdin says gently but firmly, you are more than your magic. I meet his gaze, seeing nothing but sincerity in his eyes. It's a hard truth to swallow, but maybe, just maybe, there's something else within me worth fighting for. I'll try, I say at last. Razdin nods approvingly. That is all anyone can ask. We resume our walk down the path, the night growing darker around us. Yet somehow the burden feels just a little lighter with each stride. Razdin clears his throat, breaking the silence. There may be a way. I turn to him, hope flaring up despite myself. What do you mean? An ancient ritual, he says slowly. It's risky, but it could restore your magic. Before I can press him for details, a shadow flickers in the corner of my eye. I whip around just as a sleek, scaled figure lunges from the underbrush. A naga, its eyes glowing with malice. From behind the brush, two more appear. Get down! Razdin roars, shoving me aside. I hit the ground hard, pain shooting through my limbs. The naga hisses, brandishing a jagged blade dripping with poison. Savannah! I yell, as I look frantically around for her. Razdin steps forward, muscles tensed, ready for a fight. She is safe up ahead. They didn't notice her. Now stay behind me. Like hell I will, I mutter, struggling to my feet. Even weakened, I'm not about to let him face this alone, outnumbered. A naga slashes at Razdin, who blocks with a swift move of his arm. The blade grazes his fur but doesn't break the skin. Persistent little rat, Razdin growls. I summon what little magic I have left, conjuring a small flame in my palm. It flickers weakly, but it's enough to catch a naga's attention. Its eyes narrow as it focuses on me. Weakling, it hisses. Come and find out, I taunt, forcing more power into the flame. It flares up briefly before sputtering out. The naga lunges at me with lightning speed. I dodge clumsily, nearly losing my balance. Razdin seizes the opportunity and lands a powerful punch to its side, sending it sprawling. Focus on defense, Razdin advises through gritted teeth. I'll handle the offense. Got it, I reply, raising my fists in a defensive stance. The naga recovers quickly, circling us with deadly intent. It strikes again, this time aiming for Razdin's legs. He jumps back just in time, but the blade grazes his thigh. Razdin winces but doesn't slow down. He counters with a flurry of blows that forces one of the nagas to retreat momentarily. The remaining naga lunges once more, and this time we move in perfect sync. Razdin deflects its attack while I strike at its exposed side with all my might. The impact sends a shockwave up my arm, but it's worth it as the naga stumbles back, hissing in pain and fury. Not so tough now, I pant, adrenaline coursing through me despite my exhaustion. The naga glares at us both, eyes burning with rage. It seems to realize it's outmatched and slithers back into the underbrush with one final hiss of defiance. Breathing heavily, Razdan and I stand our ground until we're sure it's gone for good. "Thanks," I say between gasps for air. Razdan nods curtly. "We need to move quickly. No way that was all of them." I glance around warily before following his lead. As we continue down the path, the weight of our shared struggles feels lighter somehow, though danger still lurks in every shadow.
Chapter 10. Savannah. Clashing steel and snarls fill the air as the Naga descend on us, their serpentine bodies weaving through the chaos. Julius shouts a spell, his voice strong but his flame weak, barely more than a flicker. Razdan bellows, swinging his massive axe, scattering our attackers. A Naga lunges at me, venomous fangs bared. Panic surges through me. Without realizing it, my magic acts for me, and I squeeze my eyes shut. The world blurs and shifts. When I open my eyes again, I'm several feet away from where I stood. The Naga crashes into the empty space I occupied just moments ago. Did Julius see? I glance at him. He's too busy fighting off another attacker, his face etched with determination. Relief floods through me. He didn't notice. I run to Julius's side, managing to shove the Naga attacking him before he lands a blow. "Thanks," he grunts, sparing me a quick nod before turning back to his opponent. Razdan's deep voice rumbles from behind us as he hurls another Naga to the ground. "Focus, we're not out of this yet." We fight as a unit, each of us covering the other's back. Julius's weakened magic falters, but doesn't fail. Razdan's brute strength compensates for it. I dart between them, trying my best to cause damage where I can. Finally, the Naga retreat, their hissing echoing in frustration through the dark forest. The tension in my muscles eases just a fraction as I watch them slither away. Julius leans on his knees, panting heavily, his wild black hair clinging to his forehead with sweat. His red eyes flicker like embers struggling to stay alight. I step closer to him, my heart still pounding from the adrenaline, and place a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You okay?" I manage to say, my voice barely a whisper over the sound of my own ragged breathing. He nods, though his eyes betray his exhaustion. "Yeah, just tired." Razdan wipes sweat from his brow with a furred arm. "We need to keep moving before they regroup." I agree silently, knowing we can't afford another encounter like this one, especially with both our secrets hanging by threads so thin they might snap at any moment. Razdan gives me a knowing look, his green eyes piercing through the silence. He doesn't say anything, but the weight of unspoken words hangs heavy between us. I busy myself with tending to my wounds, trying to ignore the throbbing pain and the growing dread in my chest. Each hiss of breath I take as I clean a cut feels like a small defeat. Razdan's presence is a constant reminder of the secrets I carry. Secrets that could unravel everything if I'm not careful. He begins to bandage a gash on his arm, his movements deliberate and measured. The quiet between us is almost suffocating, filled with the unvoiced understanding that our journey is far from over, and the dangers are only beginning. I bite my lip, focusing on wrapping a bandage around Julius's arm. His skin is cold and clammy under my touch. "You should rest," I murmur, keeping my voice steady. "You've been pushing yourself too hard." Julius grunts in response, eyes flickering with a stubborn defiance. "I'll be fine. We can't afford to stop now." Razdan snorts softly, his large hands surprisingly gentle as he cleans a gash on his own arm. "Stubborn as a rock, this one," he mutters. I can't help but smile at that, though it's fleeting. My fingers tremble as I finish securing the bandage, and I pray Julius doesn't notice. "Here," Razdan says, handing us a small vial filled with a pungent liquid. "For the pain." Julius takes it without protest, downing the contents in one gulp. He grimaces at the taste but doesn't complain. As we pack up our supplies, Razdin's gaze lingers on me again. This time, there's a question in his eyes, one that makes my heart race. I force myself to look away, busying myself with tightening the straps on my pack. "Ready?" Julius asks, his voice rough but determined. I nod, avoiding Razdin's penetrating stare. Ready. We've only walked a few steps when I hear a faint rustling from behind a nearby boulder. My heart skips a beat. I motion to Julius and Razdin, and we cautiously approach. Huddled against the rock is a human woman. Her curly black hair is matted with dirt, and her blue eyes are wide with fear. She's thin, almost gaunt, and her pale skin is covered in bruises and cuts. A tattered dress clings to her small frame. "Who are you?" I ask softly, kneeling down to her level. She flinches at my approach but doesn't try to run. "Ranika," she whispers, voice trembling. "I was a slave of the Naga." "We'll get you somewhere safe," I promise, holding out a hand to help her up. Razdin steps in front of me, blocking my path with his imposing presence. His green eyes narrow, focusing intently on Ranika. "You're a seer," he accuses, his voice a low rumble that sends a shiver down my spine. Ranika's gaze drops to the ground, her shoulders sagging as if the weight of the world has pressed down on them. "Yes," she admits, her voice barely a whisper, fragile and tinged with sorrow. The mere acknowledgement seems to sap what little strength she has left. "She can help us," I interject, stepping closer to Ranika, my eyes pleading with Razdin to understand. "We need all the help we can get right now. Look at her. She's exhausted, but she could have knowledge we can use. We can't afford to turn away someone with her abilities, especially not now." Razdin's eyes flick to me, a mix of skepticism and animosity etched in his expression. "A seer? You truly think she can be trusted?" His tone is cautious, the weight of past betrayals evident in his voice. I can see the gears turning in his mind, calculating the risks and benefits of allowing Ranika into our circle. "She doesn't have a choice," I say firmly. "Besides, she's been through enough." Julius, still catching his breath, looks between us. If she can help, we should let her. I reach out a hand, offering Ranika a reassuring smile. "You're safe now, Ranika. Come with us." Her gaze flickers between us, uncertainty warring with hope. Finally, she takes my hand, her grip weak but desperate. Razdin grunts but finally steps back. "Fine, but we need to find shelter first." I nod, grateful for his understanding. "Let's go." The air feels thick, as if even the forest itself holds its breath, waiting for something to break the tension. Julius trudges beside me, his steps unsteady. I steal glances at him, my heart aching at the sight of his drawn face and dimmed eyes. He's my rock, my protector. Seeing him so vulnerable gnaws at me. Ranika walks a few paces behind us, her eyes darting nervously at every sound. She clutches her tattered dress as if it can shield her from the memories of captivity. I want to comfort her, but the weight of my own secrets keeps me silent. Razdin brings up the rear, his presence a looming shadow of strength and caution. His gaze never strays far from Ranika or Julius, a mix of suspicion and concern etched into his features. Every so often he grunts softly to himself, lost in thoughts I can only guess at. The sun dips lower in the sky, casting long shadows that dance between the trees. My muscles ache with each step, but I push forward, determined to keep moving. We can't afford to stop now. I glance at Julius again, catching him mid-stumble. Without thinking, I reach out and steady him. His skin feels clammy against my hand. "Careful," I whisper. He nods but doesn't meet my eyes. "Thanks." We continue our march in silence, each of us wrapped in our own thoughts and fears. The forest seems endless, every tree a mirror reflecting our shared burden. Ranika stumbles over a root with a gasp. "Please," she whispers, her voice cracking with fatigue. "I can't keep going much longer." My heart goes out to her. "We'll find somewhere safe soon," I promise. As we reach a small clearing, Razdin points to a cluster of rocks that form a natural shelter. "This will do for now." We settle in, exhaustion pulling at our limbs. Julius leans against a rock, his eyes closing as he fights to stay awake. Ranika sits nearby, her hands trembling. I take a deep breath and look at Razdin. "Thank you for trusting me." He nods slowly. "Let's hope it was the right choice." The fire crackles softly as we sit in silence, each of us lost in our thoughts. The weight of our journey presses down on us, but for now, we have each other, and the faint glimmer of hope that things will get better. And with that hope, we prepare for whatever comes next.
Rosenfire, our family holds great weight and power in Orthani, and yet I hear whispers.
Do you think he can take him?
There is no way that this could happen.
No, more books. I can't remain locked in this ivory tower a moment longer.
She's perfect. The Baron's daughter must be found.
Julius, we shouldn't.
Why shouldn't we?
I am not a full dark elf. I do not possess their ethereal beauty. How will I find a mate?
The lowly Baron's son apparently has shown that he has the same gift of fire-wielding as I, if not stronger.
I am the family's dirty little secret. I am not the future of the family. Dukan is.
This world was created from a seed of evil.
I propose we take Dukan out of the picture, permanently.
Please, let me go.
If you want to join the poor humans who are bought and sold in the markets on a daily basis, you will find a way to get there.
I am free, and I am terrified.
You will never escape me.
I can try.
You will fail. Get seasons 1 and 2 of the Dark Elf series from worldsofprothika.com.
Prothika's magic is eternal. This series will show you why. Chapter 11. Savannah. Ranika and I venture further into the forest, our eyes darting among the dense foliage in search of tisret fruit or some vegetables to supplement our diminishing food supply. Every few steps, I cast a quick glance over my shoulder, making sure Julius and Razdin remain out of sight. "How are you feeling?" I ask softly, not wanting to disturb the fragile peace we've found here. Ranika offers a weak smile, her blue eyes reflecting a hint of relief. "I'm okay. Better now that I'm away from them." We fall into a comfortable silence, the only sounds being the rustle of leaves underfoot and the distant calls of unseen birds. The forest wraps around us like a protective cloak. As I scan the underbrush, my gaze lands on a bush heavy with ripe, glistening Phyalon berries. I stride over and begin picking them with practiced ease, my fingers moving swiftly among the branches. "We're lucky most of these are ripe," I say, dropping the berries into the small pouch at my waist. "They might not be the most nutritious, but they are tasty." Ranika nods, her blue eyes studying me. "You seem troubled," Ranika says, her voice gentle but probing. I freeze for a moment, then resume picking. "It's nothing." Ranika steps closer, her eyes piercing but kind. "Your magic, it's different, isn't it?" My heart skips a beat. How does she know? I force a laugh. "What do you mean?" "You don't have to hide it from me," she says softly. "I can sense it. It's powerful and unique." I swallow hard, my hands trembling as I drop a few berries into the basket. I don't even understand it myself. She places a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Magic like yours is rare. It comes from a deep place within you. tied to your very essence. Her words resonate with me, echoing thoughts I've had but never voiced. But I can't control it, I admit, my voice cracking. It flares up without warning. That kind of magic is often tied to strong emotions, Ranika explains. Moving from place to place can be dangerous if you're not in control. She frowns, her eyes growing distant for a moment. Not to mention the effects of your deeper, more influential magic. The more you try to suppress it, the more unpredictable it becomes. I bite my lip, thinking of all the times I've hidden my abilities from Julius. It's a relief to talk to someone about this, even though it unnerves me slightly that Ranika seems to know more about my magic than I do. What should I do? Embrace it, she says simply. Learn to understand it and yourself. I look into her eyes, finding an unexpected depth of understanding there. But how? I'm scared I'll hurt someone. Ranika's grip tightens slightly on my shoulder, anchoring me in the present. Start small. Practice when you're alone or with someone who understands, she advises. Her gaze turns thoughtful, a flicker of her own memories perhaps. Your magic is more than just a tool. It's part of who you are, an extension of your soul. My initial discomfort bleeds away under her understanding gaze. Her words bring a sense of clarity and comfort I've been desperately seeking. It's as if a weight I didn't know I was carrying has been lifted. For the first time in weeks, I feel a glimmer of hope flicker within me, fragile yet undeniable. The storm of doubt that has clouded my mind begins to part, leaving room for the possibility that I might not just learn to control my magic, but to embrace it fully. Thank you, I whisper. Ranika nods, her expression warm and encouraging. You're stronger than you think, Savannah. Ranika and I continue our search, weaving through the trees and stepping over tangled roots. The air smells of damp earth and distant sea salt, grounding me in the moment. There, I say, pointing to a cluster of thorny bushes. Tisret fruit. We approach cautiously. The bushes bristle with thorns, each one eager to snag a careless hand. Hidden among the spines are the fruits, round with a hard, thorny skin that promises a tangy reward inside. How do we get them without getting pricked? Ranika asks. I grin, pulling a small knife from my belt, carefully. I slice through a stem, deftly avoiding the thorns. The fruit drops into my hand, and I toss it to Ranika. She catches it with surprising speed, rubbing the rough texture under her fingers. Your turn, I say. She takes the knife and mimics my movements, cutting away another fruit. It's slow work, but soon we have a small pile of Tisret fruits in my basket. These should last us a while, I say, inspecting our haul. Ranika nods, wiping her brow with the back of her hand. We should probably head back. Julius will worry. A pang of worry hits me at the mention of his name. I push it aside for now, focusing on the task at hand. You're right. Let's get these back to camp, I suggest. We make our way back through the forest. I can't help but feel a sense of camaraderie with Ranika. She's a stranger, yet she understands parts of me I haven't even shown Julius. The thought is both comforting and unsettling. As Ranika and I reach the clearing, I catch glimpses of Julius and Razdin through the trees. They're talking, Razdin's massive form towering over Julius, who leans against a tree for support. The sight tugs at my heart, but not with the usual pang of worry. Instead, there's a flicker of relief. Julius needs someone like Razdin right now. Someone strong and knowledgeable in ways that I am not. Despite the distance that's grown between us, I'm glad he's found a friend in the Minotaur. It's a small comfort to know he's not completely alone in this struggle. You seem lost in thought, Ranika says, breaking my reverie. I give her a small smile. Just thinking about Julius. He's lucky to have you, she says softly. Sometimes I wonder if he feels that way, I admit, my voice barely above a whisper. Ranika's eyes soften with understanding. He does, even if he doesn't always show it. We step into the clearing where Julius and Rasdin are seated by the fire. Julius glances up as we approach, his red eyes dull but filled with an emotion I can't quite place. "Find anything?" he asks, trying to sound casual. "Plenty," I say, holding up the basket. "And some advice too." His eyebrow arches in curiosity, but he doesn't press further. Instead, he reaches for a berry and pops it into his mouth, chewing thoughtfully. Rasdin nods at me in greeting before turning his attention back to Julius. Their conversation resumes more quietly, and I only catch snippets of something about fire magic and healing herbs that flies over my head. But it's clear they're forming a bond, one built on mutual respect and understanding. I sit down beside Ranika, the warmth of the fire seeping into my bones. Watching them interact brings a sense of peace I haven't felt in weeks. I hope Julius can confide in Rasdin about what's been making him ill. I feel a tinge of hopelessness. It should be me he's turning to. But I know how we've been pulling away from each other. Despite keeping this secret about my magic from him, I still love him and want what's best for him. Maybe we don't have all the answers yet, but at least we have each other, and now we have Rasdin and Ranika too. "You're quiet," Ranika observes after a while. "Just processing," I reply honestly. She nods knowingly. "It's okay to lean on others sometimes." Her words sink in as I watch Julius laugh at something Rasdin says. A flicker of warmth rises in my chest. Despite everything, there's still hope for us. Hope that we'll find our way through this darkness together. I long for the day when Julius will share his burdens with me again, and I can help ease his pain.
Chapter 12. Julius. I'm in pursuit of Rasdin. I need his strength to follow through with my plans for the evening. I miss Savannah, and I hate this wedge that is between us. I need to find some sort of common ground. "Rasdin!" I call out, my voice strained. The Minotaur looks up from his herbs, green eyes narrowing as he takes in my pallor. "I need your help." He snorts, a plume of hot breath misting the air. "Again? You're pushing yourself too hard, Elf." "I know," I snap, then soften my tone. "Please, just this once more. For Savannah." Rasdin's ears twitch, and he studies me for a long moment before sighing. "Fine. I'm only doing this for her, but this is the last time. You're burning the candle at both ends." I nod, not trusting myself to speak. He approaches, his massive form looming over me. His hands glow with a soft, verdant light as he places them on my chest. The warmth seeps into my skin, chasing away the icy tendrils of weakness that have gripped me for days. "Hold still," he mutters. A surge of energy courses through me, like a wildfire igniting within my veins. My muscles tense, then relax as the healing magic takes hold. I grit my teeth against the urge to cry out. After what feels like an eternity, Rasdin steps back, wiping sweat from his brow. "There. You should feel better for now." I flex my fingers, watching as the inky black veins recede to a faint shadow beneath my skin. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Rasdin warns. "This is a temporary fix. Don't overdo it." "I know," I say again, more quietly this time. Rasdin shakes his head and turns back to his herbs, muttering under his breath about stubborn elves and their foolish pride. With newfound strength coursing through me, I stride toward the beach where Savannah lies on the sand reading a book. Tonight, I'll make her smile again. I approach her as she looks up frantically from her reading, tossing her book aside. "Julius, is everything okay?" she asks, her voice laced with concern. "Everything is fine. I was just wondering if you'd like to accompany me down to the beach this evening. I'd like to spend a little time with just us," I say, hoping she agrees. She smiles, highlighting the dimples in her cheeks. "I'd really like that, Julius. Let me run up and get showered, and I'll meet you back down here in an hour." Sounds great, I say with a small kiss to her forehead. My heart lurches with the thought of spending time with solely Savannah tonight. It's been far too long that I have willed myself out of my own head and doomed thoughts and been able to enjoy her company. Maybe, just maybe, we can find our way back to each other before it's too late. I find her waiting by the shoreline, her silhouette framed by the setting sun. Her hair glows like fire, every strand catching the last rays of light. She turns, her eyes meeting mine, and a smile spreads across her face. Come with me, I say, holding out my hand. She slips her fingers into mine without hesitation. Together we walk down the beach, the sand cool beneath our feet as twilight deepens. We reach the spot I've prepared, a blanket spread out with a simple picnic and a small fire crackling nearby. Her eyes widen in surprise. You did all this? For us, I say, guiding her to sit. We needed this. We settle on the blanket and I pour wine into 2 wooden cups. The aroma of roasted vegetables wafts from a small pot near the fire, mingling with the salty sea air. Savannah's gaze lingers on me, soft and questioning. This is perfect, she says with a smile. You look beautiful tonight, I say, unable to tear my eyes away from her. She blushes, looking down at her cup. You're just saying that. No, I insist. I've missed you. Her eyes flick up to meet mine again, vulnerability clear in their depths. I've missed you too. We eat in companionable silence for a while, the fire casting dancing shadows around us. The warmth of the flame seeps into my bones, momentarily pushing away the ever-present chill of my condition. So, she starts, her voice hesitant. How are you feeling? I hesitate for a moment before answering. Better now that I'm here with you. Her gaze pierces through me, searching for any hint of deceit. I force myself to meet her eyes, willing my own to remain steady. I've noticed you've been distant, she says softly. I know, I reply, looking down at my hands. The black veins have receded for now, but they linger in my mind like a dark cloud. I'm sorry. Savannah reaches out and takes my hand in hers, squeezing gently. You don't have to apologize. Just talk to me. The sincerity in her voice almost breaks me. I want to tell her everything, about the pain, the dwindling magic, but I can't bear to see her worry. I'm just tired, I say instead. Traveling takes its toll. She nods, though doubt lingers in her eyes. We can rest more if you need it. I shake my head quickly. No, I'll be okay. A small smile tugs at her lips as she leans closer to me. For a moment, everything feels right again. The fire crackles beside us, and the ocean sings its timeless song. Savannah leans into me, her warmth a balm against the cold ache in my chest. The crackling fire casts playful shadows on her face, highlighting the concern in her eyes. We'll get through this, I whisper, my voice barely audible over the waves. Yes, she murmurs. I tighten my hold around her shoulders. For a moment I allow myself to believe it. But then she stiffens. Her gaze flickers past me, something unreadable flashing across her features. She pulls away, breaking the comforting embrace. I just remembered, she stammers, rising to her feet with an almost frantic energy. I need to check on something back at the market. Now? I ask, confusion coloring my tone. It's late, Savannah. She nods vigorously, avoiding my eyes. Yes, now, it won't take long. I'll be right back. Before I can protest further, she's already walking away, her steps quick and deliberate. I watch her retreating figure, bewildered and a little hurt. The beach feels colder without her beside me. Wait, I call out, but she's too far to hear. Or maybe she doesn't want to. I sit back down on the blanket, staring at the flickering flames and trying to make sense of her sudden departure. Did I say something wrong? Or is she hiding something too? The sound of the ocean feels less like a soothing melody and more like a relentless reminder of our growing distance. I clench my fists, feeling the energy Razdan gave me start to wane.
If someone had told me a month ago that I would be running for my life instead of sitting in the stuffy classroom of the bordello, preparing to be sold off to indoor, I would have laughed.
The forest is not your safe space, little one.
But there's no avoiding my fate.
It's you. You're the one.
I've spent my entire life training to be the perfect bride for the top-bidding dark elf. So much can change in so little time.
You understand why you're being punished, right, child?
Your blood. It sings to me.
Please, let me out of here.
You need to learn your place.
But what are you? Where are you taking me?
Run!
I'm a bringer of death.
No, you're not dying. I won't let you.
You won't be able to get out.
Let me go, please.
Sadie, I will make you mine.
Chapter 13. Savannah. I'm running as fast as my feet will carry me, hoping I get far enough away from Julius before something implodes and he witnesses it. Like some sort of apparition, I spot a small enclave just out of reach, hidden amongst the rocky bluff of the sea. I duck into the space, my breath hitching as I glance over my shoulder. The damp air chills my skin, but it's a small price for solitude. The sea's roar outside drowns out the whirlwind in my mind. My palms still tingle from the burst of magic earlier, an unwelcome reminder of the power I barely control. Savannah. Ranika's voice startles me. She stands at the entrance, her silhouette framed by the fading daylight. Her blue eyes seem to pierce through the darkness of the cave. I could feel your magic, she says, stepping inside. It called to me. My heart races. I didn't mean to. I'm trying to control it. She moves closer, her expression soft but intense. Magic like yours isn't something you can suppress forever. It demands to be understood. Understood? I echo, frustration bubbling up. I don't even know what it is. One moment I'm here, the next I'm somewhere else. People freeze or follow my thoughts without meaning to. Ranika nods, as if she's heard it all before. That's why you need guidance. And you think you can guide me? My voice trembles with a mix of hope and skepticism. She smiles faintly. I can help you understand it, yes, but only if you trust me. Trusting anyone feels like a gamble right now, but what choice do I have? My magic is a ticking bomb waiting to go off at the worst moment. What if Julius finds out? I ask, fear creeping into my voice. Her gaze softens further. Secrets only fester and grow heavier with time. If you don't confront this together, it will drive a wedge between you. I look away, swallowing hard. It already has, and I don't want to lose him. Then let me help you, Ranika urges gently. We can figure this out together. Silence stretches between us, broken only by the distant crash of waves and the occasional drip of water from the cave ceiling. Finally, I nod. All right, I whisper. Show me where to start. Ranika steps closer, her presence both calming and intense. First, you need to find your center, she says, her voice a soothing murmur. Close your eyes and breathe. I obey, shutting out the cave's chill and the roar of the sea. My breaths come slow and deep, filling my lungs with the salty air. Feel the magic within you, Ranika continues. It's like a river, always flowing, but right now it's wild and uncontrolled. We need to create channels for it to flow through. I picture a river inside me, turbulent and chaotic. How do I do that? Use your mind to shape it, she instructs. Imagine guiding the water into channels. Let it flow where you want it to. With a deep breath, I visualize the wild river branching into calm streams, each one flowing smoothly. My hands begin to tingle again, but this time it's different, more controlled. Good, Ranika says, her voice filled with quiet pride. Now let's vent some of that excess energy. I open my eyes to see her holding a small crystal vial. What is that? A conduit, she explains. It will help direct your magic safely. She places the vial in my hands, its cool surface smooth against my skin. Focus on channeling your magic into this. Nodding, I close my eyes again and concentrate on the streams within me. I guide them toward the vial, feeling the energy surge through my veins. The vial warms in my hands as light begins to emanate from it, growing brighter with each passing second. My heart races as the power flows out of me and into the crystal. Keep going, Ranika urges gently. You're doing great. The light intensifies until it's almost blinding. My entire body vibrates with energy as I pour everything into the vial. Finally, when I feel like I can't give any more, Ranika places her hand over mine and whispers an incantation. The light dims gradually until it's just a soft glow within the crystal. Exhaustion hits me like a wave. My legs tremble and I sink to the cave floor, barely able to keep my eyes open. Ranika kneels beside me, her expression one of both relief and concern. Rest now, she says softly. You've done well. I nod weakly, my eyelids heavy as lead. The last thing I see before sleep claims me is Ranika's reassuring smile. In the darkness behind my eyelids, I feel a strange sense of peace, a small victory in the battle for control over my own power. Guilt gnaws at me as I wake in the cave, Ranika's words echoing in my mind. Julius made such an effort, and I abandoned him. My heart aches at the thought of his confused expression when I left. He deserved better. Ranika sits beside me, her eyes gentle but probing. You're thinking about Julius, she states, not a question but a fact. I nod, unable to meet her gaze. I feel terrible. He tried so hard to make everything special, and I just ran. She tilts her head slightly, considering her words. Why did you run? A bitter laugh escapes me. Because I'm scared. Scared of this magic, scared of what it means, and scared that if he finds out... Ranika places a hand on my shoulder. He's your mate, Savannah. He deserves to know. But what if he leaves me? My voice cracks on the last word. She shakes her head. Keeping secrets from him will only drive you further apart. He's already sensed something is wrong, hasn't he? I nod again, tears welling up in my eyes. Yes, and it's killing me inside. Ranika's grip tightens reassuringly. Then tell him. Trust him with your truth as he's trusted you with his. Her words sink in, the truth of them undeniable. Julius has been honest about his struggles, even if he hasn't told me everything, and here I am, hiding a part of myself that could change everything between us. I'm just so afraid, I whisper. Fear is natural, she replies softly. But love demands honesty and vulnerability. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what needs to be done. You're right. Ranika smiles gently. Go to him, Savannah. Share your burden so it can be lighter for both of you. With her encouragement bolstering my resolve, I rise from the cave floor and head towards the entrance, where daylight filters through like a beacon of hope. I'll think about it, I say, trying to sound resolute. I promise I'll think about it. She nods, a faint smile playing on her lips. That's all I can ask for now. I walk away from the cave, my thoughts a tangled mess. The salty breeze tugs at my hair, reminding me of last night, of Julius and his efforts to make things special. My chest tightens at the memory of his confusion when I pulled away. Why did I run? The question gnaws at me, refusing to be silenced, He deserved better than my abrupt departure. He deserved honesty, and I gave him fear instead. As I reach the edge of the village, I pause and look back towards the inn where Julius rests. The distance between us feels like an ocean, vast and insurmountable. He tried so hard to reconnect, to bridge the gap that's grown between us, and I pushed him away. My steps falter as guilt floods me. How could I do that to him? How could I let my fear overshadow the love we share? The memory of his hopeful smile haunts me, a stark contrast to the pain in his eyes when I left. I need to fix this, but how? Ranika's words echo in my mind. Trust him with your truth as he's trusted you with his. Can I really do that? Can I open up about my magic and the chaos it brings? The answer doesn't come easily. My fear whispers that he'll turn away, that he'll see me as a danger rather than a partner. But another voice, quieter yet more persistent, urges me to take the risk, to trust in our bond. With a deep breath, I start towards the inn again. My steps are slow but purposeful, each one a promise to myself and to Julius.
Chapter 14. Julius. Sleep was certainly not fruitful last night. I tossed and turned, plagued by nightmares, my thoughts racing. Images seared through my mind. Savannah standing on a cliff's edge, looking back at me with sorrow in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asks, her voice echoing with betrayal. I reach out, but she steps back, slipping into the void. Every time I closed my eyes, another nightmare invaded my mind. Savannah ensnared by some dark force because I couldn't protect her. My magic flickered weakly in the dreamscape, a pathetic glow that did nothing against the shadows closing in around her. I sit up, pressing my palms to my eyes. Sweat clings to my chest and the sheets that are drenched with it. The darkness in the room feels suffocating. "You look worse than yesterday," Razdin says, scaring me out of my reverie. "What happened?" I glance at him, then back down at my hands. She pulled away again. He tilts his head, red fur catching the morning light. "Pulled away?" "We were having a moment." I clench my fists. I thought things were finally getting better between us. Then she just left, made some excuse and took off. Razdin's eyes narrow. "Did she say why?" "No." My voice cracks, betraying more than I intend. "And that's the problem. She keeps doing this. One moment we're close, the next she's a million miles away." "Maybe she's hiding something," Razdin suggests, his tone careful. I scoff. "You think I haven't considered that? But what could it be? She was always so open before." Razdin shifts his weight, the floor creaking beneath him. "Sometimes when people are afraid, they retreat into themselves." "Afraid of what?" I snap, frustration bubbling to the surface. I've always protected her, given her everything she needs. "Perhaps it's not about you," Razdin says quietly. His words hang in the air like a noose tightening around my throat. "Not about me? How could it not be?" "She could be struggling with something," he continues. "And you're struggling too. Maybe it's time you both stop hiding." I look up at him, meeting his green eyes for a long moment. "I'm losing my magic, Razdin. If she knew..." "She'd still love you," he interrupts, voice firm. The sincerity in his eyes catches me off guard. For a moment, I'm tempted to believe him. But then I remember Savannah's distant gaze and her hurried excuses. "I don't know how to fix this," I admit softly. Razdin places a heavy hand on my shoulder. "Then maybe it's time to stop trying to fix it alone." I slump back, feeling the weight of Razdin's words. Savannah's distant gaze flashes in my mind. Is it possible she thinks I'm weak? Has she noticed how my magic falters? My breath catches. The thought gnaws at me. "Do you think she knows?" I ask, voice barely above a whisper. Razdin studies me, his expression unreadable. "It's possible," he says slowly. But if she does, she's probably just as afraid as you are. Afraid? Of me? No, that can't be it. But maybe she's afraid for me. The thought twists my gut. Savannah has always been so kind-hearted, so caring. If she knows about my magic... What if she thinks I'm not strong enough to protect her? I mutter. Julius, Razdan says, his tone firm. Savannah isn't with you because of your magic. She's with you because she loves you. But what if... There's no concern. She loves you, Julius. Razdan's green eyes bore into mine. I open my mouth to argue, but his gaze silences me. He's right. The secrecy is tearing us apart. We can't keep pretending everything is fine when it's not. But what if she doesn't understand? I ask, fear lacing my words. Then you'll explain it to her, Razdan says simply. I swallow hard, the idea of confronting Savannah about all this making my chest tighten. And if she thinks I'm weak, I voice my deepest fear. Then she's wrong, Razdan replies without hesitation, but something tells me that's not what she'll think. I nod slowly, the resolve building within me. Savannah deserves the truth, and maybe, just maybe, I deserve hers too. Razdan places a heavy hand on my shoulder. It will fare well for you both to clear the air. I blink, feeling the weight of his words. Clear the air? What does that mean? He hesitates, his green eyes flickering with uncertainty. It means you need to be honest with each other. Honest? I echo, my heart pounding. About what? Razdan shifts his weight, the floor creaking beneath him. About everything, he says finally. Your magic, her, distance, whatever it is that's causing this rift between you two. I stare at him, my mind racing. Be honest? How can I be honest when I don't even know what's going on with Savannah? And how can I tell her about my failing magic without making her worry? But what if... I begin, but Razdan cuts me off. No buts, he says firmly. You both need this. Trust me. I swallow hard, feeling a lump in my throat. Razdan's right, but that doesn't make it any easier. I'll try, I say finally, my voice barely above a whisper. Razdan nods, his expression softening. That's all you can do, he says gently. I stare at the door for a long moment, gathering my thoughts and courage. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to face Savannah and hope our love is strong enough to weather this storm. I push myself off the bed, the weight of Razdan's words still pressing on me. But before I can make a move, the door flies open. Ranika stumbles in, her eyes milky white and vacant. Savannah follows, her face pale and terrified. Ranika. My voice cracks with worry. What's going on? Savannah rushes to my side, gripping my arm tightly. Julius, something's wrong with her. Ranika's mouth opens, but no sound comes out at first. She sways on her feet, looking like she's about to collapse. Ranika! I step forward, ready to catch her if she falls. Her eyes flutter. Then she speaks in a voice that seems to echo from another world. Danger. Coming. Orcs. Gargoyles. Vampires. Ice monsters. Demons of the dark. These beasts seek war, destruction, and power. And there's only one thing that can tame them.
Love.
This is your chance to get the uncut and unabridged audiobook bundle.
No detail is spared.
Use discount code YouTube30 for an additional 30% off of the already discounted price.
Go to worldsofprathika.com.
Get access to countless audiobooks and discounted bundles where I talk you through every last scene.
Prothika's magic is eternal. Audio bundles will make it immersive.